We're gonna take a look at the Graphite Throttles, right? Yonex's newest shoe, kind of badminton, kind of tennis, kind of not. For starters, is this worth it? The answer is no. Alright, and it's very easy logic. These currently cost in yen 33,000 yen, or in PHP, Philippine peso, like 12,500 pesos, which is like a little bit over $200, right? So you're basically paying like Jordan prices now, right? And in comparison, right, 65 Z3s, right, 88 dials. My Eclipse Z3s are unfortunately retired. I've chewed through, I think, 3 pairs of them now, and those are all around, right, the $100 mark, $110 mark. Maybe a little bit more, like 5,000 to 6,000 to maybe 7,000 if you buy through a reseller here, right? So just from purely a price to performance ratio, right? While I believe the Graphite Throttles to be better than the current high-end Yonex shoes, they are not twice as better. So from price to performance ratio, stick to the Yonex high-ends. You guys know I love the Eclipse Z's for their support, and for me they have the best technology out of the 3, but that's probably not the answer or the video you guys are looking for. Let's, dive into this shoe and I'll talk you through it. So first thing that a lot of people worry about when they first see these is, are they heavy? And no, they're actually not. They're actually quite light considering how like heavy or bulky they look. A lot of that is just because this shoe has a lot of height because of the quite thick midsole, but because the upper is mostly mesh and the midsole is mostly this, lightweight foam, it actually does not contribute that much to the weight. And I'm speaking a bit louder than I'm supposed to because I'm not wearing a mic, I'm too lazy. So I'm hoping the shotgun mic picks me up, but we are going to measure a shoe here. So move, Soup.
She's nuts. Come on, Soup. Come on.
So one shoe is 366 grams, which I believe is a little bit on the heavier side. Yeah, so my 65 Z3s, which you should know, I do put in custom insoles so that my weights are going to be slightly different than y'all's. But this comes in at 354 grams, so like 10 grams heavier. We're using the left shoe for consistency's sake. These are the 100 Hypercourts that I've been sent, and honestly, they are very comparable to the 65Zs, so I still use them on a quite regular basis. They're in my rotation of shoes. I'm not like paid or sponsored to say this or do that. I genuinely believe like they are very comparable in price and performance. So yeah, so these move Soup. These are 414 grams, so that's actually going to be the heaviest one. And this is my 88 dials that I use mostly for like when I'm feeding or coaching other people, or like very just casual shoes, because I'm not a big fan of this series. So yeah, so that is 336. That makes this the lightest of the bunch. So like you said, so for rankings, right, it was this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, right? So lightest to heaviest. So weight aside, obviously we just established that this is not an issue. If I had my Eclipses, I believe these would be lighter than the Eclipses. The Eclipses is usually the tank of the 3 Yonex shoes, but moving on. I guess we'll take a look at the shoe, because honestly the shoe is quite aesthetic. It's quite beautiful shoe. There's a lot of like, it's a big stray away from the typical design language you see from Yonex, because you have to remember that this is technically not a badminton shoe or a tennis shoe. This is what they're calling like a concept shoe. They're looking to highlight certain technologies in the shoe, which they will then later on adapt into badminton specific footwear, and then I assume tennis specific footwear as well. So with that being said, there are some overlaps and probably like some inefficiencies that we won't see in a later developed badminton specific shoe. But that's also why it kind of gives us this unique look, kind of like almost like a shoe you can wear like a sneaker. So there's first of all this. So it says, our curiosity leads us to a horizon of boundless blue and ground in green, filled with endless possibilities. So just a bunch of marketing gibberish. What does it say on this side? It says, the sky invites us to look beyond our imagination, and the fields ground us, guiding each decision with purpose. Like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. More interestingly, here are the outsoles, right? So as you can see, the outsole is very like multi-purpose. Like you could definitely see this being used for like an outdoor tennis court. It's a very big difference from kind of the multi-directional outsoles that you see on badminton shoes. So for example, right, the radial blade that the 65Z3s now have, and then before that there was the octagonal honeycomb design, right? The 88 dials also have that radial blade, and then the Hypercourts 100 again, right? They have kind of reminiscent of the Yonex old school outsole, that like octagonal rubber outsole, which is meant to again give grip in all directions, because you know we're moving in all four directions, sometimes diagonally in badminton, and then we usually sometimes we'll have pivot points around the balls of our feet, which again the Graphite Throttles does not have. So besides that, another thing is we are getting a two-piece outsole design similar to what the 65Z3 and the 88 dial offers. Remember that the Eclipsion Z's had kind of like a semi one piece where there was a piece of the outsole here that was connected, but this side was not connected, and it was the only series from Yonex that offered that. All the other ones, if I am correct, have this kind of similar two-piece, and then there's like this carbon truss or bridge structure, as you see here, connecting the two pieces. So there is no mesh here. Instead, we are seeing a lot of the carbon, because that is a big highlight of this shoe, Graphite Throttles. So what they are trying to get us to believe is that this shoe is going to like propel you forward, and it's using basically their, I guess, experience or expertise in carbon, because they've been making, you know, high-end carbon tennis and badminton rackets for the last, you know, 2 or 3 decades, and they're using that to basically, I guess, innovate in footwear now. So there are basically two technologies that are what we're excited about, and I'll also post the pictures from the website itself. But the first is Power Cushion Rev, and if you buy an aftermarket insole from Yonex, they actually have that already. I believe this is it. Yeah, so this is the Power Cushion Rev, I believe. Again, I could be wrong, but this is AC195, and so I believe what they're doing is they're essentially taking this material that they have put in the insole, and they are putting it in the entire midsole, right? And you are getting a very plush yet explosive feel. And I mean, even if you read off of their website, right, our most explosive cushion ever is an immediate sensation felt from the very first step. And this is something that you noticed, or I noticed when using this shoe, is that yes, it is very comfy and very cushiony, but there is no sinking feeling. And again, I'm blown because I no longer have to choose, right? And what I mean by that is there has always been a decision that people have had to make when it comes to badminton footwear, right? Do you want cushion or do you want responsiveness, right? It's the same thing with cars. Do you want a cushioned suspension, or do you want a harder suspension that is not going to be as comfortable, but the performance around the steering and the feel and handling of the road is much better, right? And it typically has always been that beginners and lower level players have chosen more cushiony shoes because that's what they're after. They don't want to sweat and grind it out. And pros have always favored more responsive, more stiff, albeit sometimes less comfortable shoes, because they need every watt of their power from their foot to translate onto the court, to, you know, move that much faster, to feel the court, right, for all those minute movements, right? And again, the same way I felt with NAMD and NAMD 2.0, and maybe this is also part of being brainwashed by the marketing, right, placebo effect, is that with this shoe, I didn't really have to feel that way. I felt just as supported with this shoe as I did with the Eclipsions, but these are as comfy as like New Balance sneakers, right? And that is why I said, like, I feel like these are better than all the high-end series shoes from Yonex that I've tried. But again, you really can't justify it from a purely price to performance, I guess, point of view, because they are almost twice as expensive. Like, this is not worth 2 pairs of shoes. I would much rather have 2 pairs of Eclipsion Z3s, because, you know, they're not that uncomfortable. Like, you know, these are very comfortable, and then the high-end Yonex shoes are just comfortable, or like maybe I'm just used to it, but you know, no one really complains that, you know, Yonex shoes are uncomfortable. So that is the first thing, the power cushion rev. And then the next thing they're calling it is power graphite. So this is a separate technology, and that's what this, you know, the cutouts for the carbon are. And essentially, from what I am led to believe based on the website and based on seeing this shoe in my hands, is that the power graphite is essentially just a carbon plate that runs from the heel all the way to the foot. And so I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding what is the difference between that and the current carbon implementations in the current Yonex top lineup of shoes, because I believe that the carbon in, you know, for example, the 65Z3, I believe it runs all the way through the shoe as well. Again, someone more experienced with shoes, please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this is a more stiffer, or maybe it's multi-layered, maybe it's denser in the heel and more springy in the midsole. I really don't know. And Yonex's website does not give us any additional information as well about that. So I really am just speculating at this point. So outside of, you know, just general yapping and kind of just taking you around the shoe, right now I'm just going to talk about it, because honestly that's all the value I have to give you at this point. So outside of what I just briefly talked about when it came to, what is it called again, the power cushion rev, the words that come to mind when I first put these shoes on was, how are these so comfy but yet I'm not feeling like behind? So kind of what I said earlier when we talked about the power cushion rev, right? You always had to compromise between cushion and responsiveness, and it felt like with the shoe I didn't, right? The grip was good, obviously not the best, because again we are looking at kind of like a multi-purpose outsole design, and I expect this to be better once we get badminton specific footwear. But again, serviceable, it's fine. You could wear this for pickleball, you could wear this for tennis, you could wear this for basketball probably, and you can wear this for badminton, right? So again, serviceable, but obviously not, you know, dialed down, optimized for badminton. But the grip, you know, was fine. You know, it made all the squeaks that new shoes make, especially on a good surface, and it was cushioned. So when I think about like lunges, for example, especially like if someone played a really good spinning net and I have to get it down low to play a high lift, or if I'm, you know, surprised by a drop and I'm late by like half a second, I'm not really feeling any pain or any discomfort. I think that's the most time, or that's the most common situation where you would put the most amount of pressure on one foot, the left or the right foot, right, for that deep lunge. And honestly, the shoe held up, right? It's cushioned, the impact, and then the pushback to get ready for the defense for the inevitable smash or the next drop is quite good as well. I did play a bit of singles, I think. No, I was using my 65Z3s there, so never mind. So yeah, I've only played doubles with these, so mostly my talk will be about doubles. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that this does have the ankle lock system, or it has an extra pair of eyelets, excuse me, that's the more accurate way to describe it, if you want to do an ankle lock lacing setup. Honestly, I don't think you need it, right? This is a bit more of a mid-top cut shoe, which does offer some more passive support for the ankles, but if you do want it, you can have it. And honestly, for me, I'll probably put it on, because why not? Secondly, I think the next thing to talk about is durability. Obviously, these are going to not hold up. I've only been using this, I think, for less than, let's say, 10 hours on court, maybe 15 hours on court. We're already seeing like scuffs on the high wear area on the left shoe. I'm a right-handed player, right? And I tend to drag my foot, especially going into the front forehand corner. So we're already seeing scuffs in that kind of area that we're expecting to see here, which is not a promising sign, especially for a shoe this expensive. Again, right, I've used my 65Z3s for much longer, and leather is obviously going to hold up much better compared to this, you know, super lightweight upper mesh. We're already seeing some strand, I don't know if the camera is focusing, but we're already seeing some strands kind of like fray away here, and we're seeing like already some scuffs and some tape coming off. So not good, unfortunately. The color itself is going to not look good as well. If you see like around the ankle area here, I don't know if the camera will focus there, but around the ankle area here is already darkening, which is again a no. It's just sad. Anything else I really want to talk about? Oh yeah, fit. Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention this. These run big. These run big. Okay, I would advise you go down a size. So for reference, right, I normally wear a US 10.5, preferably wide. And I believe that translates to a 28.5 centimeters, right? So when I was in Tokyo, at the showroom where I bought these, I asked for a 28.5. They said, we only have up to 27. I was like, okay, let me try 27. These fit perfectly, right? There was about 2 cm or 3 cm of allowance for my big toe. So it's not like all the way up against the outer boundaries, but right where it needs to be, right? Sakto lang, for lack of an English translation. And that's a big difference, right? Going from 28.5 to 27. So please, at least go down half a size. Ideally, you try these on in person because the 27.5s fit as well. So it's really up to you what kind of fit do you want, because these kind of fit like sneakers. So if you want a more roomy fit, then maybe just go down half a size. But if you want more of that tighter, like athletic shoe fit, maybe go down, a full size. I don't know. But yeah, please try these out in person or buy them from someone with a very generous return policy, because I imagine these are going to make a lot of people upset with the sizing. I don't know why they're like this. Maybe it's because it's badminton/tennis. I don't know. But yeah, that's really it. I think verdict, right? So kind of like what I said in the beginning, right? If we're looking at purely a performance standpoint, right? Performance is the only thing that we care about. I think these are fantastic, right? These are much more comfortable and cushioned than any of the top Yonex offerings stock, right? I don't have any custom insoles in these yet. I'm using these stock and I feel no need for additional insole support, which is the first time I've ever said that about any shoe. Usually I put in carbon insoles because I want stiffer feel, but I'm perfectly fine as is. I honestly wouldn't know what I would want to put in here. So that's already high praise from me, who loves custom insoles. And then the push, the repulsion, for lack of a better word, is phenomenal, right? You get the cushion and then you get the push, whether it's a push forward, for the net kill, whether it's a push back to quickly retreat to defend the smash, right? You are getting an explosive push. Like, your energy is not going to be wasted. It's not going to sink into the floor, into the cushion, right? You are going to go where you need to go as fast as you can, right? Durability, always, like I said earlier, sucks. That's to be expected with super lightweight upper mesh and with very flimsy stitching. Again, this is a concept shoe. They're going for wow factor and looks here and aesthetics. So obviously, I think for me, these are non-issues when they make and develop the badminton and tennis specific footwear. Some things I would like to see: one, wide offerings when they do make the eventual badminton specific shoe. A low cut, because even though these are comfortable and they don't get in the way, for me it's just weird to wear a mid-cut shoe for badminton. Now, I did before use the Eclipsion Z2s that were neon yellow with the sock extension into the ankle area, and it was fine, but I still prefer low cuts. If they do continue with the mid cut for the Graphite Throttles, I would like them to have that kind of sock, I think they call it inner sock mesh booty or something like that. For the people that have used the shoe know what I'm talking about. And obviously a very specific badminton specific outsole, ideally the radial blades, because those are fantastic. And right, I would want a one piece, a semi one piece outsole, or heck, why not a full one piece sole, just because the carbon doesn't have to be here anymore, it's inside the shoe itself. So that is my review and looks and thoughts about Graphite Throttle. I'm very excited to see where this heads, right? If this is just the concept shoe, if this is just the concept shoe, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when it's developed and optimized for badminton play. I think whatever shoe that's called will probably end up becoming my main shoe now, unless Eclipsion Z4s really blow it out of the park, right? Because I don't see this shoe, when the badminton specific version of the Graphite Throttles come out, I don't really see a reason to pick any of the other three shoes. Yonex is kind of cannibalizing their other lineups if they release too good of a badminton shoe with this, right? Because it's not super heavy, it's supportive, it's repulsive. The Air Z's still might be relevant because, you know, these are much more heavier than those, but the 65Zs, the 88 Dows, the power cushions, and the Eclipsions, like I don't see why you'd want to get those if they execute really well on the badminton specific shoe based off of this graphite power cushion rev or whatever. So yeah, thank you for watching. I know this is a long video. If you guys have any comments, let me know in the comments below. You know, like, subscribe, like, whatever platform you're on, say hi, show some love. Bye bye.